The alien girl in his bed wasn't a dream, and she wants to repopulate Earth with her species. I remember the night the sky tore open. The stars didn't just shine, they screamed. A streak of white fire split the heavens above the frozen plains. And for a moment, it looked like the Milky Way itself was collapsing, spilling its light over the snow. I was closing the barn doors when I saw it. A glowing ember falling straight into the cornfield that hadn't grown in 7 years. The world's gone too cold for harvest now. The ground is just ice pretending to be soil. The impact was violent. It shook the frozen boards beneath my boots, sent flurries spinning like ghosts. I should have stayed inside. But something, curiosity, madness, or maybe just loneliness, pulled me toward that crater. I ran across the white desert, snow slicing in my face, breath freezing in my beard. And then I saw it. Not a meteor, not a plane, a ship, small, smooth, silver like frozen mercury, half buried in the snowdrift. The hull hissed as it cooled, and then a seam appeared. Her body glowing faintly violet beneath the pale moonlight. Her skin shimmered, not like scales, more like a layer of light trapped under glass. Something blue bled from her side, hissing against the snow as it froze. Then she spoke.
Don't call your military.
Don't call your military. Perfect English. And then she went limp. I pulled off my gloves, touched her skin, cold, almost electric. I should have been afraid. I should have run. But in a world where everything else had died, she was the first thing that felt alive. No signal on my phone. There never is this far out in the Frostlands. The nearest hospital was 50 miles away, buried under ice. So I carried her home.
Please, you have to help me. I can't survive out here alone.
She weighed almost nothing, light like she was made of hollow bones. I laid her on the couch by the old stove and watched her blue blood stain the fabric, like ink spreading in water. Then her eyes snapped open again, and she grabbed my wrist with frightening strength. There's a medical case in the ship, compartment K9. Her voice trembled, but her gaze didn't. I sprinted back through the storm, the ship still steaming in the crater. I found something that looked like a medkit, though it pulsed faintly like it was breathing. When I returned, she pointed to her neck. Inject it here. Without hesitation, I did. The wound sealed itself instantly, skin knitting together under a shimmer of light, leaving only a faint scar. She exhaled softly. Nanocytes, she whispered. They repair matter at the cellular level. And then she was out again. I sat beside her all night, the firelight flickering on her strange, luminous skin, wondering what I had just done, wondering what she was, and why the stars had chosen my frozen field to send her to. By morning, the world was white again. The snowfall had buried the ship almost completely. I was cooking breakfast, bacon, eggs, habit mostly, when I heard movement behind me. I don't eat animal protein, she said quietly.
I don't eat animal protein.
Standing at the kitchen door, her silver blanket wrapped around her shoulders like an ancient queen's robe. But eggs are acceptable. I just nodded. She sat, moving like someone studying gravity for the first time. My name's Eli, I told her. She blinked once. E-12-47. But you can call me Lyra. I asked where she came from. She stared at the snow outside for a long time before answering. from the silence between two dying stars. Her ship was beyond anything I could understand. But what she said next chilled me more than the storm outside. "My people will come for me," she said, "in 30 rotations. A month." She nodded. "If the storm doesn't block the signal." That night, she reorganized my kitchen with military precision. Every drawer, every tool, perfect order. "You live alone," she said. "Why?" I hesitated, then told her the truth. My wife left. She said I loved this land more than her. Was she wrong? No. Her black eyes reflected the firelight, and for the first time, I saw something human behind them. Sadness. "In my world," she said, "no one is alone. We exist as one mind, one breath. I've never known what solitude feels like until now." She reached out and touched a frozen flower on the windowsill. For a moment, its dead petals bloomed purple, glowing faintly, then faded back to gray. "What did you just do?" I whispered. "An experiment," she said softly. "Energy transference. Don't worry, it's harmless." But I didn't believe her. Outside, the snow kept falling, silent, endless, and somewhere beneath it, her ship pulsed faintly in the darkness like a buried heart, still alive. The blizzard came without warning, a wall of white erased the horizon, swallowing the barn, the field, and the world beyond. Lyra stood by the window, her black eyes reflecting lightning that never touched the ground. "It's accelerating," she murmured.
It's accelerating. Atmospheric instability. You call it a polar cyclone.
Within minutes, the power was gone. The world outside vanished under a roar of wind and ice. I lit the oil lamp. Its glow turned the room amber and trembling. She looked almost human in that light. Almost. Her veins pulsed faint blue beneath her skin whenever thunder rolled. "We can't stay here," I said. "The shelter in your barn," she replied calmly.
The shelter in your barn. It's reinforced. We'll survive there.
We ran through the storm, leaning into the wind. Snow stung like shards of glass. The barn loomed ahead, half buried, the doors thrashing in the gale. Inside, the temperature dropped fast. I sealed the hatch to the underground root cellar and lit another lamp. Our breath rose in white ribbons. Lyra shivered, folding her arms tight. "My body isn't built for this climate," she confessed. "Mine isn't either," I said.
"Mine isn't either, but we pretend."
Her laugh, quiet, brittle, echoed in the small space. Hours passed. The storm raged, a monster pacing above us. Then, in the flicker of the lamp, I saw it. Her veins glowing brighter, rhythm quickening. "It reacts to fear," she said. "My luminescence." She looked fragile, alien, and heartbreakingly real. "You said your people would come in 30 days, I whispered. "Yes, but if they detect my life signs weakening, they'll come sooner. And if they do, then they'll find you too." The lamp flickered out. Total darkness. I reached for her hand, cold, trembling, alive. In the silence between thunder, her voice came like a prayer.
Eli, what if I don't want them to find me?
The storm answered with a deafening roar. The storm lasted 2 days. When it finally calmed, the world outside looked erased, an endless white plain under a silver sky. Lyra and I hadn't spoken much. There was warmth now between us, but also a silence that carried weight. That night, as the wind faded into whispers, I found her in the barn, standing beside her half-buried ship. Its surface glowed faintly through the frost. She turned to me. "It's time you knew the truth." The words felt heavy before they even reached me. "I wasn't sent to explore," she said. "I was sent to evaluate." "Evaluate what?" "Your species, your viability." I didn't understand, at least not at first. Then I saw the faint lights blinking on her wrist device, projecting symbols into the air, data streams, readings, my own image captured dozens of times. They're studying us, I said slowly. Through you. Yes, she whispered. But something's wrong with me. I stopped reporting 3 days ago. I stared. You're defying your command? Her voice shook. Eli, my people's world is dying. They need a new home, and Earth fits. But if I confirm compatibility, colonization begins. Your world won't survive that. So you're protecting us? Her eyes shimmered, galaxies reflected in black glass. No, I'm protecting you. The silence that followed was unbearable. The truth had weight, and it sat between us like a buried sun. Then she stepped closer, almost touching me. In my culture, we don't have a word for love, she said softly. We call it fusion, when two separate energies choose to burn as one. Her hand reached for mine, trembling. The glow beneath her skin softened. If they find me now, they'll erase everything I felt since the crash. And if they don't, then the universe will forget I existed. I pulled her closer. Then I'll remember for both of us. Outside, the frozen cornfields reflected the stars like shards of glass. Above us, something moved, faint lights drifting through the clouds. They were already searching. The lights in the sky grew closer every night. Search patterns sweeping across the frozen fields like the gaze of some silent god. Lyra stopped sleeping. She spent hours at the window, her wrist device dark now, its power cell removed. They'll triangulate the last pulse soon, she said. We have a day, maybe less. I packed nothing. What could you take from a dying world made of ice?
Miss you so much.
At dawn, the horizon burned pale orange. For the first time in months, sunlight touched the snow, scattering prisms of color through the mist. Lyra stepped outside without her coat. The cold didn't seem to touch her anymore. Come with me, she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes weren't. My ship can carry two if I purge the data cores. And if I stay, then they'll find you when they arrive. And they'll know I lied. Wind howled between us. I thought about Sarah, about the years I'd spent waiting for something, anything, to fall from the sky and change me. You told them Earth isn't compatible. I said that it's uninhabitable. I told them the truth they needed to hear, she replied, that this planet is already claimed by a species capable of compassion. The air vibrated, low, thunderous. A shadow covered the sun as a massive craft descended through clouds. Snow rose in spirals. Lyra's face glowed faint blue. They're here. She reached for my hand. If we leave, we can start again, somewhere untouched. I looked up at the ship, then back at the endless snow that used to be home. Earth may be dying, I said, but it's still ours. She smiled, a sad, radiant curve that broke my heart in half. Then I'll stay long enough to make sure they never return. A flash of white engulfed everything. When I opened my eyes, she was gone. The sky was empty again. Only her footprints remained, glowing faintly violet in the snow, leading toward the stars.